exactly.
I thank Senator Klobuchar for her timeliness in allowing me to go 60 seconds earlier, which I've just used, thanking her for doing so. Thank you all to the folks before us today and for your willingness to serve our nation. Just a few questions. Dr. Morgan, I don't have any questions for you this morning, but we will get acquainted in the appropriations process, and I look forward to that being the case. We want to work closely with you on a variety of issues that are your responsibility. Ms. Hutcheson, electronic logging devices are a significant issue to me and to my constituents and to the livestock industry, and we've worked closely with FMCSA to try to find a solution. We need a department to have hours of service rules that don't create unintended situations that would cause harm or death to animals that are being hauled by our livestock haulers. And the solutions of pulling off to the side of the road with a load of cattle or requiring offloading aren't practical and sometimes terribly damaging. If confirmed, will you and the agency continue to work with me to address the underlying hours of service issues so livestock haulers are able to safely and humanely transport animals?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. FMCSA has implemented the Hall's relief measures that were passed in the bipartisan infrastructure law, which provides relief to agricultural insect haulers. We've also exempted livestock haulers from electronic logging device requirements. I recently held a roundtable discussion with the agricultural community to listen to their concerns, and I've heard firsthand from them. And if confirmed, I will continue to work with you and your office on these important issues regarding the hauling of livestock.
I didn't intend to suggest that initiatives haven't been taken, that efforts have been made. We just don't believe we're quite there yet. And I appreciate what's taken place in the past. Look forward to additional future efforts to solve this problem. Let me ask you an additional question. Drug-impaired driving remains a serious issue. We've been pursuing, through the appropriations process, hair testing, and yet we can't seem to get it to occur. The federal adoption of hair testing would allow motor carriers to report positive hair test results to DOT's Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse, closing a current loophole and creating a safer environment for the traveling public. Again, I'm asking for your cooperation, perhaps even an explanation of why this is so difficult to achieve.
Thank you, Senator, and I understand your concerns. We are working with Health and Human Services. They're completing a study of the hair testing, and when that is complete, we stand ready to implement their recommendations, and you have my commitment that if confirmed, I will continue to work with you to improve safety on our roadways and closing those loopholes.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate your smile, and it's always been the case in which I need to be knocking on the door of Health and Human Services, which has seemingly unmoving on this topic for now a number of years. But I appreciate your cooperation if I can ever get the cooperation of Health and Human Services. And Mr. Burton, just a couple of questions in your role. You have a significant history in the aviation world. I appreciate that. We are facing tremendous challenges in regard to shortages of personnel, workforce, pilots in particular, but crew and others. I'm a passenger in an airplane every Monday and every Thursday or Friday, and often the challenge is whether or not a crew is available. Any thoughts that you would have on what we can do to increase the number of people who work and eliminate the pilot shortage? And it also give you a chance, I think the chairwoman mentioned about slots. How would you balance flights and slots availabilities between airports within your jurisdiction?
Thank you for the question, Senator. And maybe I'll start with slots first and the perimeter rule. This is not something that we face at LAX. This is a unique issue for Reagan National. And as I've spent time learning about it and reading the GAO report, it appears that the real issue there is that obviously National is quite stressed from an operational standpoint and how crowded it is. And there's concerns with the community and economically at Dulles of moving more planes and more flights to national. That obviously has to be balanced with competitiveness and convenience for passengers. And so I look forward to working with the board on this issue. And ultimately, this will be, this is from federal legislation, so it will require an act of Congress to change the perimeter rule and add any additional exceptions. As far as shortages, that's something that airports are concerned about. Obviously, with pilots for safety, you also have shortages with concession workers and a number of other parts of the airport, and it's made for a very challenging travel experience. And so what we focused on at LAX is, working on things like using technology so you can reserve your parking spot in advance and you can get to the airport a little bit later. We've worked with the TSA on actually getting able to reserve a slot in the TSA line in a time period, so you know that when you get to the airport, you'll be able to get through security. So we've really focused on the areas that we can control as an airport authority to try to improve that passenger experience, and then work with airlines and concessionaires on planning so we can, create a better situation for the passengers.
I think it's an adequate answer. It isn't your responsibility to find all the employees that we need, but I would interested in hearing if you had suggestions, and I appreciate your response. Thank you, Chair.